To today's session, the Alumni Veteran Connection and Career Support. My name is Maya Hood. I am the Student and Alumni Engagement Coordinator for USD's Office of Alumni Relations. I am also a two-time alumna from the class of 2017 and 2018, and I believe that most of you on this call are USC alumni. So hello and shout out to all of my fellow USC grads. Before we launch into introducing today's session, I want to extend hopes and prayers from all of your friends in the Office of Alumni Relations that you and your loved ones are safe, healthy, and doing well despite all of the challenges that we've been facing these last few months. These are without a doubt some of the most challenging times we face as a country and as a community. And I just want you to know that we're thinking about you and that we are praying for you and your loved ones. The Alumni Association staff is continuing our efforts to keep alumni engaged with and connected to the university. Now that we pivoted to digital engagement, we are able to offer a wide variety of initiatives, from virtual programs as such, to recorded alumni interviews, to even our Tiny Torero Storytime podcast, in an effort to keep alumni engaged and connected in meaningful ways. The Alumni Veteran Network has partnered with the Alumni Association today to present with you today's session. Just a few housekeeping items before we jump into introducing this program. This program will be recorded and shared on our Alumni Association YouTube channel next week. We ask that you please keep your mics muted and turn off your cameras during the interview portion of the event. We also encourage you to adjust your settings to speaker view. While you're just seeing my face right now, you'll be seeing our featured speakers just shortly here. And I want to make sure that you are able to see them clearly. Later on, we will ask all the participants to turn on their cameras if you'd like, as we will move into our small group conversation segment of the virtual event. At that time, we will move into our breakout sessions, where you guys will all have a chance to ask Dee, Jonathan, and Derek, our breakout room facilitators, any questions that you might have. If you have any questions that do pop up during the program, please direct them in the chat or just drop them down in your notes, and we will do our best to address them throughout the session, during our breakout rooms, and if we have time at the end of the event. All right, now let's get started. So I'm happy to introduce Jennifer. Jennifer, if you would like to activate your camera and turn on your mic, that would be great.
Hi, everyone.
Perfect. Jennifer is the alumna from the University of San Diego, graduating with her bachelor's in economics in 2018. And a recently graduated with her master's degree in higher education and leadership studies this past May. Congratulations, Jennifer, that is amazing. She hopes to support students in higher education for her career. Last but not least, Jennifer currently serves as the Alumni Veteran Network Board of Director for Fellowship. Jennifer, thank you so much for taking the charge today, and I'm going to go ahead and kill my mic, mute my camera, and you can take it from there.
Thank you, Maya. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for being here. So we have 3 people that I'm going to introduce today. So as I introduce those folks, if you want to just also turn on your audio as well as your camera. So first off, we have Dee Kalar, who is the Assistant Director of Alumni Career Engagement, where she supports USD alumni through her career development and serves as the primary liaison between career development team and Alumni Association. She's developed and manages the college's Torero Employer and Alumni Mentor networking platform, also known as TEAM, and curates alumni Zoom trips. The trips consist of webcam interview series and USD alumni with the focus on the impact COVID-19 has had on industries and workplaces. So thank you for being here, Dee.
Thank you.
Secondly, we have Jonathan Chinchilla. If you want to also go ahead and turn on your mic and your video. Jonathan Chinchilla was born in Guatemala, migrated to the United States at the age of 6. He was raised in Brooklyn, New York, and joined the U.S. Marine Corps at the age of 18. Served 12 years on active duty and completed 4 deployments to the Middle East. Jonathan graduated with a bachelor's degree in accounting in 2018 and a master's degree in taxation in 2019, also from the University of San Diego. He's currently employed with Ernst & Young as a tax staff associate. He is a co-leader of the EY San Diego Veteran Professional Network and volunteers his time with the Travis Manning Foundation. Thank you, Jonathan, for being here.
Thank you.
And so lastly, we have, last but not least, Dr. Derek Abbey. So Derek Abbey is going to be in a breakout room, discussion room. So Derek Abbey is originally from Seattle, Washington. He has graduated, after he graduated high school, he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. He spent 23 years in the United States Marine Corps, serving and enlisted, and as well as an officer on both the ground and the air. This includes serving FA-18 aviator in the Special Operations Community. He's been a member of Project Recovery for 16 years and is currently serves as the President and Chief Executive Officer for Project Recovery. Project Recovery searches for, locates, and recovers Americans missing in action from our nation's previous conflicts with the intention of providing answers and closure to Gold Star families. He holds a master's degree in higher education leadership and a PhD in leadership studies, both from the University of San Diego. Additionally, he holds a credential from Stanford University in nonprofit executive leadership and is a 2019 President George W. Bush Scholar. Prior to taking on his current role, he ran the Military and Veterans Program at both USD and SDSU and currently resides in Bend, Oregon. So thank you also, Derek, for being here, and thank you for all of our participants that are here today. So we're going to go ahead and start with the discussion. So first off, we're going to talk about, so we're here talking about alumni, veteran connection, and career support. I feel like in these times holds a lot more importance maybe than any time that I have ever seen. So we're first going to start it off. We'll direct our question to Dee, working with her career support at USD. So we're just going to jump into questions, and after these questions are asked and answered, we're also going to provide time in our breakout rooms for participants to go ahead and ask any follow-up additional questions related to that. So first off, Dee, how can you be proactive now for possible transitions in the future for recent graduates?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful, and it's wonderful to see some familiar faces and names out there too. So a key, I mean, given this unprecedented, uncertain time that we're in, one of the pivotal things that we can do is really build new connections and nourish our existing connections. There are a number of ways that we can do this, but there is a statistic out of the Bureau of Labor Statistics that 80% of annual hires, and this was even pre-pandemic, is through networking. And so utilizing tools like LinkedIn, and we have a LinkedIn equivalent that we've instituted here at USD known as Team, utilizing those resources to really build connections with people working specifically within the companies that we're interested in, and engaging in meaningful, intentional career conversations with those people to really gather the information and the knowledge that we need to move our careers forward. And I'm happy to talk more about that. There's also research out of Harvard University about the importance of weak connections in addition to our strong connections. So one of the things that a lot of us do is when we say networking, we think about, really leveraging our personal connections with people that we know. But research suggests that there is a huge benefit to actually reaching out to, people beyond our immediate connection and leveraging those weaker ties. And so, that's number one. Number two, obviously, upskilling and reskilling, to make sure that we have the skills that are, that are required for the positions that we're interested in. Currently, it takes about the shelf year of any new skill is about 5 years. And it takes about 3 months to develop a new skill. But there are a plethora of resources out there like edX, Skillshare, LinkedIn, Coursera, to really help us build those new skills and develop existing ones as well. And another thing I want to mention too is looking at, particularly for veterans, resource groups within the companies and organizations that you're interested in. Who are the veteran employees? Who are the veteran resource groups that are available within your target list, and really reaching out to those people specifically, pardon me. And also, I know we'll be going over this in greater detail, but there are myriad of career resources offered by the Career Development Center. I'll mention those later, but really taking advantage of those and making an appointment with me as well. I am the designated career counselor for our alumni community. I'm, ICF credentialed and trained, and work with clients. I've actually worked with over 600 USD alumni since I've joined USD 2 years ago. So we can, to help you build your personal branding and your resume, and move you closer to your dream job.
Thank you, Dee. I jotted down a lot of those resources personally, so thank you for that, and I will be sure to also schedule an appointment with you. So, Jonathan, I'm going to ask you a question specifically. Obviously, you are a veteran yourself and took the transition, maybe looked a little differently. But so my question for you is, how can you be proactive now for possible transition in the future, in your opinion?
So good afternoon, everyone. Something that I didn't really understand till I graduated from USD was that after you graduate, the learning doesn't stop, it continues on. So in my specific field, we have a thing called continuing professional education. And so I believe that's relevant across all fields, where you constantly have to keep up with the times. And even as something as simple as perfecting your Excel skills or enhancing certifications that you might not necessarily need right now, but you will need in the long run. So it's understanding how to use data analytics and resources like that could help you in the long run. And there's the good thing about those certifications is a lot of them are actually free, depending on certain nonprofit organizations that you're a part of. And so I encourage veterans that are transitioning to look into organizations that offer programs like free Tableau certifications, which helps with data analytics and data visualization, and other programs with Excel, because something that I was just talking to my brother about earlier is that Excel is used across the board. You could be a principal at a school or a doctor or a lawyer, regardless. Excel is a tool that you should know top to bottom. And so if you want to make yourself more marketable, enhance those certifications that might not apply to you right now, but forward looking, they're going to help you in the long run.
Thank you, Jonathan, for sharing that. So I have a specific question it's for both of you, but it's more specific to this time. So what would you have on how to network during these challenging times where everything is just visually online?
Mm-hmm. I can take that. One of the most important things is really, so the economy has shrunk about 10%, right? We have unemployment around, double digits currently. And so, whereas if you'd asked me pre-pandemic, I would say, oh, it's a numbers game, apply to as many jobs as you can online. But right now it's the connections game. So I like to the 80-10-10 rule, or the 80-20 rule. 80% of your time should really be spent on networking, 10% on building your resume, building your personal branding, and 10% actually putting together that job application. And so narrowing down your focus, I think, is pivotal to any job search strategy that you'll be employing during this time, in terms of, who are the companies that are hiring currently? And, if you make an appointment with me, I'll be, and you don't even have to, I'm happy to share those resources with you. And there are on our website as well. Look at the companies that are currently hiring within your preferred job locations. And then look to see, utilize LinkedIn's alumni tool. Obviously, LinkedIn has a institutional page for every organization out there, including higher education institutions. And if you find USD's LinkedIn page, hover over to alumni and you'll be directed to about 59,000 USD alumni with active LinkedIn profiles. You can filter them down by where those people work, what companies they're employed with, what they've majored in, et cetera, et cetera. And look to see if you can identify any USD alumni connections within the organizations that you're interested in. Send them a personalized connection note, right? Mention your shared USD identity, your shared alumni status. If you have any shared mutual contacts, go ahead and mention those people and set up those informational meetings. I can't tell you how receptive USD alumni in particular are for, to provide career advice and career insights. I just saw the other day on my news feed one client who found her dream job after 35 informational interviews. Now that's really, really key. We have instituted as I mentioned earlier, a LinkedIn equivalent for USD known as Turo Employer and Alumni Mentors, where we have 3,200 active users who have opted in to provide career conversations for our job-seeking alumni. So definitely, taking advantage of that resource is going to be key. And in terms of your networking, I always think that the quality of information that we get from people is going to be based on the quality of the questions that we ask them. So go into those meetings, having drafted a set of really intentional thinking questions, guiding questions, that will help you get the information that you need about your companies and organizations of interest so that you can adjust your branding, your cover letters, and even weave in those that information into your interviews with those companies. And some good questions include things like, obviously the most obvious one: are you currently hiring? What is your hiring timeline? What is your hiring criteria? And some more granular ones like, what are the top skills in your most successful employees? Right? What are the growth opportunities? If you're not currently actively hiring, do you have any, project-based opportunities available or short-term based opportunities available? As well as, are there is there anyone else within your network that you would recommend that I reach out to? So sort of trying to branch out from those connections to others that might then tie you to additional networks.
I'd like to piggyback off of that and just mention that I recently discovered that a lot of the firms and a lot of the industries that we want to work for have veteran professional networks. They're really not broadcasted or marketed, and so therefore a lot of times we don't know. So I recently joined the Veteran Professional Network at EY, and I'm really involved now, and I'm starting to understand the process. And so something that I discovered through this past year working there was that there's a lot of veterans that are willing to help you out. There really is. The issue that I discovered, or the disconnect is between the applicant really being interested in that position, because from a working professional, we're busy, we have a lot going on. And so you have to let me know that you're interested. And that's how they view it as. For me, I eventually reached out to the director of the firm, and he was a veteran. I reached out to him 6 months later, not to the point where I was pestering him, but I was seeking more information to finally, when my opportunity came, I was able to get hired on. And so my advice to everyone here is that if you're really interested in working in that industry or that firm or that organization, let them know by doing your due diligence. They're not going to reach out to you. They're not recruiters. They have a job on a daily basis. But if you send them emails, follow-ups every so often, that lets them know. And then when the time comes where, actually, I also discovered that there's actually funnels for veterans to apply to that bypasses a lot of what the regular applicants go through. And so, but you won't know that unless you contact and you network these individuals that know about these programs that could get you on board. But I think the biggest misconception or the biggest fear of, such as someone like myself who would want to get a veteran to come into EY, is the fact that you have to be all in it, because I'm eventually going to vouch for you. and I have to know that you're worth investing in. And so I pass that on to you all, because if there's an industry or is there an organization that you really want to work for, you really need to demonstrate and do your due diligence and let them know that this is what you want. And if you're educated, you're a veteran, you have qualities that they know that you could, that you have qualities and they know that you could perform at a high level. And so it's conveying that to them through your networking and through constantly keeping in communication with them. And I promise you that doors will open up for you, but the due diligence has to be there has to be done on your end, in order to let people know that you're serious about it, and they will take you on. They will invest in you and take you to the next level.
John, I totally support. I mean, those are such great pointers. And I just want to add on to that too, that as Johnny said, just finding those veteran employees within companies. I mean, number one, finding the veteran friendly companies, and I'm happy to, give you a list and provide you with with a bunch of those. But in addition, within those companies, because they're going to have hiring preferences for veterans, and they're going to be the ones to know that and to share that information with you. And it's also really important to attend career fairs. I mean, it's on August 13th. I'm happy to share the information with Maya and Jennifer and team so they can share with you. But there's a Hire Heroes virtual fair coming up. USD, has 3 fairs broken down by industry coming up in October, where we feature veteran-friendly employers and furnish you with a list of who those are. So definitely coming to those, because they're going to be virtual, but it's going to put you, face to face with these recruiters. Another important thing is, I know it's very cold outreach through LinkedIn. It's not everyone's cup of tea. It's uncomfortable. But in addition to connecting, you can also follow professionals on LinkedIn. So definitely those influencers, C-level, top-level executives within the companies that you're interested in, follow them on LinkedIn. Just go, next to their profile, you'll see that drop-down menu, click follow, and see the content that they're sharing. Just following those industry publications, what the industry trends, because that the transfer from military life to civilian life, that's something I'm sure that Johnny and Derek can attest, right? It's a process. And a different set of skills, different set of knowledge, a lot of transferable skills, need to be emphasized and accentuated. And so keeping abreast of what's going on in the industries that you're interested in, and interacting with that content actively on LinkedIn is, I think, an important component as well.
Thank you all for all that content. I apologize, I cut out for a second, but I'm back. So we have about 10 minutes, so I have maybe one more question for both of you. So it'd be, right now, we have a lot of Zoom fatigue happening. Are there any methods that you have personally that you're taking, I don't know, meditating, walking? What are some methods that you all have used to overcome this?
John, you want to go first, or you want to take this first?
Can you repeat the question, Jen, please? You were breaking up a little bit.
So what are some methods that you've used for yourself personally to overcome the Zoom fatigue or just this online presence?
Yes, so I have a really strict schedule, kind of like I was joking about it earlier. I take this kind of like a deployment. I wake up, I have the opportunity to work from home. So I wake up on a certain time and I work, and after a certain hour, I'll take a break and then I'll continue on. And so what I'm trying to say is that I created a schedule for myself, and I have to include some studying in there as well. So transferring that to looking for jobs or getting on Zoom and networking, things like that. I encourage people to have a window, 3, 4, 5 hours, depending on your tolerance level, but don't exceed that and have those boundaries. And then maybe you might want to go for a walk or watch your favorite TV show. And so also taking care of yourself mentally as well. So, and sometimes we feel guilty because we could be doing more, right? We feel like we could be doing more. We should be more productive. But I think that it's sustainable when you've created an attainable goal where your schedule is safe and your schedule is doable, and using that and keeping it consistent. It might not be tomorrow, but it's definitely a marathon and not a sprint. So because you could essentially burn out. And so for me, personally, what has really worked for me is keeping my schedule organized, and I attribute a lot of that to the military, because that's what you have to deal with a lot of times. So I'm sure a lot of veterans aren't having such a big issue with this, because we're kind of like used to being away from home and things like that, and not doing things. But what I attribute my mental health to, and my fatigue, and being stuck in quarantining is definitely creating my schedule and knowing when to give myself rewards and knowing when I got to put in work. So creating a schedule and sticking to it.
I mean, that's great advice. And for me, it's really, one thing that I could add to that is knowing when you learn and work the best, and really arranging your best work during those hours, and getting into a work mode during the work hours. I have 2 little kids. One is 2.5, the other is 6. I'm a student and juggling full-time work. So I really know what it means to have that exhaustion. And so as Johnny said, setting the goals and I start my day with a list of things that I want to get done, and sort of check off that list throughout the day. I also personally am someone who is most productive in the morning. So I try to get 80% of my work done in the morning, and my morning will start as early as 5:30. I'll be in front of my computer because I know that's when my brain works the best. And then also, if you're OCD like me and have to do everything sort of to the level of perfectionism, I'm really coaching myself through this one and just saying, good enough is okay. Right? I don't need to be perfect. Good enough, I should be okay with that. And I think another important thing is, change your location inside your home or your office if that's going to help you. Create, going into every Zoom meeting, I try to create talking points or an agenda for each meeting to make sure that we're running those meetings as efficiently as possible. Trying to make sure that I do a wellness check with my peers on the phone. And then finally, something that I like that Johnny alluded to is kind of drawing boundaries and knowing when you need to plug off, and sticking to that, right? I mean, we had a meeting last night, and it was from 5 to 6. I had to end at 6, and that was a hard stop for me, and I needed to plug it off right there and then, because that was my kid duty time, my mommy time. So just blocking off your calendar and trying to avoid looking good to others, or not to worry about looking bad to others is, I think, good advice, at least personally for me, and I think it applies pretty much for everyone.
Well, thank you both for that. We have a couple minutes. We're going to transition into the breakout rooms, so we'll go ahead and press pause there, but I will go ahead and give small introductions. So the way that it's going to go, our breakout rooms, Dee Kalar is going to be with Rob Connect. He's one of our directors with Alumni Veteran Network. Rob, if you want to pop in. Thanks, Rob. And then we'll have Sandra Abate, who will be with Jonathan Chinchilla. Sandra, if you want to pop in real quick. Thanks, Sandra. And then lastly, we have Eric Flynn, who will be with Derek Abbey. So Eric Flynn, if you want to also pop in. Thank you, Derek. Or Eric, I'm sorry. You're right, I'm going to get those connected. So the role of our directors right now is going to be as facilitators, and we're going to be allowing participants to have an open dialogue about networking, resources, etc. So we are already populating those breakout rooms as we speak. We're going to have 2 sets of breakout rooms. Both are going to be 10 minutes each. So you'll be able to connect with other folks and have the opportunity if you want to send any LinkedIn information. Once those 2 breakout sessions are then completed, we're going to come back as a group, and everyone should have their cameras on so you can see everybody's great faces. And from there, we can maybe share out some big takeaways as a group all together. So as of now, we will start, if Andrea wants to start us off, sending us in those breakout rooms. So again, if everyone can have their cameras on, if you choose. Trying to see if everyone's back. Andrea, do you know if everybody's back?
Yep, everyone has returned to the main session.
Well, so at this time, we'll have some takeaways, some share outs. So if we could have, I believe our facilitators mentioned it in their session. If anyone wants to share takeaways, and you can use the raise hand feature, and then we'll go ahead and call on those individuals.
I might have failed in mentioning it in my session, so please invite me back.
Thank you. I'll direct it to maybe our director, or our directors at this time, if participants don't want to share out. So I'll direct it to Sandra.
I think we had some valuable discussions in our breakout rooms for sure. The panelists were really, really knowledgeable. I think, Johnny and Dee, I haven't met Dee in person, but just very, very informative, very inspiring. And I hope that we're going to continue those relationships as we leave this Zoom meeting.
Thank you, Sandra. How about from, let's go with Eric.
Well, the panels I was in, Derek did an amazing job. I think that the big emphasis is one about relationships, about growing your network, about staying connected to people, and about being of service to others, not just seeking how can other people help me, but always keeping the mindset that it's my job or our job to help each other and to connect. And through that comes great things. So thanks, Derek.
Thank you, Eric, for sharing that. And thank you, Derek, for that. So we're getting towards the end and just really wrapping it up. I see Rob in the chat has provided a link for you all if you want to be part of the team platform, and I do encourage you to do that. And then we have some from AVN last minute announcements. So for our next event, and I really do encourage you all to attend that one and continue to have these connections with individuals within the chat. So our next one is Wednesday, September 16th from 4:30 to 5:15. And that will be sent out via Alumni Relations. So don't worry if you want to jot that down, please feel free, but it'll be sent out. And the topic for that will be how to build mental resilience during this time. And that'll be our next event that we have planned. So at this time, I'm going to direct the screen, share screen to Maya, who works with Alumni Relations, and she can go ahead and give some information.
Hi, everybody. Just to wrap up here, first, thank you again for joining us for the Alumni Veteran Network Connection and Career Support. Thank you again to our speakers, Dee and Jonathan, for all of their insight and experiences and sharing that with the group. Thank you again to Jennifer for her facilitating as well, and all of our Alumni Veteran Board of Directors. I just wanted to put up some resources that are available to you all, Facebook and LinkedIn for the Alumni Veteran Network, so please feel free to connect with them, as well as some additional upcoming Alumni Association events that we have, as well as some other Alumni Association virtual offerings. We have our Tiny Toronto Storytime podcast, teams, as Dee alluded to, our alumni Zoom trips, and our interviews with UST Chats with Charles. So stay tuned. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your week.